of the Maokai, because those are very good combinations. And like I said, he is spamming these champions, right? So Rumble locked in for Shikari. I actually expected this as the anti-tank answer, because now you have your blind pick for top lane or your counter pick for top lane. It's going to be a lot harder because I imagine Ornn will be banned. It's like one of those tanks that only like does somewhat well into the Rumble, but still Rumble destroys tanks, and that's all Catchcos can play.
This is a scary combo. Like, I love what Nord have put together because they've given a lot of power over to both Hiddo and Omen, but Nativz kind of just got the wombo combo. And this is one of the things that I think I definitely praised Nord of in their game versus Ruddy. Ruddy were drafting more harder to play comps, where Nord were just taking comps that were very much just like headbutt Archie, win team fight. Nativz have locked in 3 champions that all do that. Like, it's just press R, win fight. So the question is how Nord actually going to find an answer to that here.
Yeah, I really like Nord's draft so far. I think they've done phenomenally here as well, limiting a lot of the AD carry pool now, and Voxne having to go towards something like the Jinx, not getting his affiliates, which I know he likes so dearly as well, being banned away. So overall, I'm just very impressed by Nord's draft. It's moved very quickly, but it's been very powerful, and there's the Victor, something we actually talked about a bit before the show, something we could see show up as a pocket pick.
Yeah, I mean, these drafts are about wrapped up. Let's see. Oh, is it going to be the Catchcos Jax? This is very off character, because that is also a terrible matchup into the Rumble. I'd be very surprised if he locks it in. Let's see how he uses R5 counter pick. Into the Rumble, you have very few answers that actually work too well. He's hovering some really, really strange champions, but it's probably going to be a tank, right? That's what I imagine. Is that locked in?
That is locked in.
That is a horrendous matchup. Personally, I was watching this matchup, T1 Zeus, a VOD of this in solo queue, and he was saying how absolutely horrendous. It's hell, to quote. So let's see how he pilots it. I'm excited to see how side lane goes.
Yeah, we'll get POV of Aragon being miserable about this matchup when we zip up there about 5 minutes in the game and see how rough it's going to be. Honestly, as much as I was very Nord favored going into this series, I think in game 1, Nativz have actually just drafted themselves a really strong team. There's so many tools for them to kind of take away from this game. I don't know. I'm going to throw you, Aragon. Where are the win conditions? What are we looking at?
What we're looking at right now is Nord has 1-3-1 composition with a lot of disengage in the mid lane to play around that split push. You have Jax in the bot and LeBlanc in the top lane, side laning away. And that's how they probably want to pilot the game until 3rd Dragon. On the other hand, you have an insane amount of AoE and zone control to dump on the Xayah in the Rumble and the Maokai. I think that's an insane combination that we've seen before. However, they have a very AP heavy top side. So if Den Voxne isn't snowballed, we have problems, right? Because that's a lot of ML value.
Yeah, absolutely. Duckling, do you want to give me your thoughts on where you feel that this game's going off the drafts?
I mean, I was very happy with how the Nord draft was going, but I am questioning a bit the Jax Rumble matchup as well. Depending on how that turns out, I am still in the Nord favor, but I do like the wrench, you could say, Nativz have thrown in there with the specifically the Victor. Because looking at Vladdy's champs played in GLL in Spring Split, that was his most played champ to quite a lot of success as well. I think only 2 losses out of 9 games, something ridiculous like that. So bringing it in, I genuinely like that, getting some comfort for Vladdy that he can perform on. And the Jinx as well, enabling a hyper carry for Den Voxne is obviously also a good win condition. So I like what you've established there. The question is, though, will it beat the Xayah of Hiddo? Because I know Hiddo's Xayah is very, very scary to play against.
They have a lot of space creation for Den Voxne's Jinx to hit, which is something they did in the last game of the series versus Verdant, right? They have a lot of AoE to dump on that the enemy have to focus on and avoid. However, in the top side, I think that might be made up for by the Sejuani. Now that I'm thinking about the Sejuani-Jax combination might make up for how bad the matchup is in isolation. If you pay a lot of attention towards catch costs, but then you're paying a lot of attention towards catch costs, which you don't typically do, because he's usually on tanks. On top of that, you're trying to shut down Shikari, right? Who we know just how good he is at playing Stonewall. So I actually don't like the plan from Nord. I think the execution of Nativz' draft is much easier to play than Nord's, because Nord you have to do crazy things like 1-3-1 and play through lanes that you don't typically do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, honestly, at the moment, Nativz, it's very much, they have a lot of the tools in their camp. It's really down to them just to play that right. On the side of Nord, it's definitely a harder win condition. I do see avenues, though. They've got space that can be bought with Desire. The Braum can obviously block out a lot of people advancing forwards. You've got indecision on this Sejuani, so honestly, ganking Shikari is an option. It is an avenue. Yeah. It's the only lane you can actually use the permafrost effectively with because of that, because it's a melee top laner. And yes, if they do shut Shikari down, that does unlock Kakos up in the top side, and then Omen eventually will be a menace with that static shiv in the bot lane, in the mid lane, wherever he goes, is to kind of split push pressure. And I think the 1-3-1 might be quite hard for them to deal with, but they do have things like Jinx just gets so good at wave clearing later because you have the rockets, the range, the AoE. Rumble can just ult a large enough wave if he needs to. There's so many tools they can use to kind of shut down that split push. And then how do you to a Baron into a Rumble Rail team? Like, ignoring the Maokai. Yeah, but I mean, just ignoring the Maokai, like, Rumble Rail's scary enough as it is. You had a Maokai in there. Suddenly you're not moving. Suddenly the Jinx is just getting a free hit, and then Voxney just gets the dream ADC experience.
Yep. Something I just want to highlight for Duckling, you can take your point, is that Indecision loves, when he's on these kind of like quote-unquote dog junglers, where you can drop camps and do a bunch of stuff, he loves to 3-camp, which is pretty standard for Sejuani, right, and Rel. He likes to 3-camp into gank mid or bot lane, even when the lane, you wouldn't typically associate it with a lane that you would normally gank, so he's a bit cheesy early game. I'd look forward to see what he does here. He's starting blue, maybe he does 3 camps into gank mid or gank bot lane if potentially twists engages or something like that. Let's keep track of how that goes.
Now,
looking for that. Ooh, Shikari, yeah.
Just gonna take a light trade. I think Shikari just gonna get a couple of bonks there from Kakos, dodging the harpoon, buys him a little bit of comfort in the lane, but nothing too major. Bot side, no one's gonna help on the leashes. Are just looking to try and get that kind of lane control sorted for themselves at the moment, as gonna be a relatively chill bot lane for now at the moment. I think this mid lane is gonna be interesting. I'm a LeBlanc main. I can tell you this typically can be quite a rough matchup into the Vladimir. It's definitely not like a hard countered lane, but it's definitely a rougher matchup. Although I've not tried it with a static Shiv, so I don't know if it gets a little bit easier because you can just one-shot the wave and keep it at arm's length away, so you don't just sit and take lasers underneath your tower, which is typically how this matchup eventually ends out.
I mean, it opens you up a lot as well, right? You're able to rotate quickly when you get that static shift building, clear out the wave, maybe look to play around Hido a bit more, or Kashkas if you're winning that top lane for Omen, so opening up a lot of possibilities. But obviously for now, it will be a bit slow until those items are built. Both junglers clearing towards the top side and Indecision invading.
Yeah, you can see with the priority from topside, Kachkos managed to find the pathing from the Maokai from Stefan. Now, it's the 3-camp into cheese that we're talking about. Sejuani has a lot of dueling potential at this level with a lot of burst time. She can 60-0 usually, most champions. So let's see if someone moves over. Let's see if Shikari moves over or potentially Oman, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Interesting thing there. Stefan actually didn't reveal their health bar or anything because they W'd out a Fog of War into the bush. So Indecision didn't see Stefan enter that bush, hence the blast cone. And there was a little bit of nerves there on Indecision to actually go for that because he didn't know exactly what he was dealing with. Decides not to go for that fight. He didn't really have the mid lane or the top lane prior to make that play happen without getting turned onto. So he's just going to head back to his jungle and catch those camps and do a topside clear.
Yeah, looks like the wave was on a bounce back, right? Kachkos was receiving the wave, he only managed to crash the second wave and couldn't keep it pushed, so yeah, Indecision decides not to. However, there is now vision topside. They now know which pathing that Nativz took. Nativz jungler Stefan took. Also the same as vice versa. Indecision, they know where Indecision path. Yeah, look at that matchup, by the way. Now maybe you can potentially invade on second rotation camps. Let's see if in 2.5 minutes time, they decide to do that.
I do really want to notice here the fact that Nord's bot lane decided against the early recall while then Voxney recalled. Instead, they pushed out the wave, went in, got the early bot side scuttle, denying a possibility of Stefan getting both of those and getting a little bit extra gold into Hido's pocket, who's looking to just try and skill up with the core, while then Voxney has gone for a bit more damage straight away with the double long swords.
Yeah, definitely wanting to try and take over this lane if possible. Now, Norda just going to shove it down into the spot side and maybe look for themselves for a comfortable reset opportunity. Does look like Hido thought about it, but the wave maybe looking a little bit too juicy for them, and Hido not quite set up. He is on a ward though, so yeah, has to be careful as that zap will come down. And being a relatively quiet first couple of moments. We're only 5 minutes into the game though, so it's early enough that nothing really has to have happened. But I do feel a game that is moving at a slower pace definitely suits Nativz more than it does Nord. I think I praise Nord over the fact that I thought they were a better team for playing very proactively on the map and making active plays. So far, they've tried that invade, didn't really get it to work out in their favor. There's Kakos taking himself a trade versus Shikari that maybe he doesn't want to be doing.
Yeah, just gonna struggle to crash in the wave, like you said. It's really brutal, isn't it? You just barbecue the Jax. It's like, and it gets worse, right? As you get more and more points in queue, Rumble starts to bully out the Jax more and more. But bringing it back to big picture, right? This is pretty standard. Exactly what you were saying about how it favors Nativz. I completely agree with you, right? And this is because of just the nature of the front to back composition. You have 2 tanks, a lot of AoE space generation, so that Denvoxney can hit. But let's see if this gank works out.
Well, they're going to look for it. Twists gets himself slowed down. They flash onto Denvoxney. They try to catch him out, but they can't. Denvoxney having to burn Clash and Cleanse to get away from that one. Honestly, big play there for Nord. They only burnt the single flash on Indecision, so they'll be happy.
I really like the play there. Nativz bot lane, they obviously felt confident having recalled themselves, spent that extra gold, so they felt like if they were in a straight 2v2, they would have probably won it. Didn't really expect the third man there from Indecision, who should have probably rotated up towards his topside jungle, you could argue, to get the camps. Now he's rotated up with Seneca instead, and maybe they could look for the play mid lane. Vladdy still has the flash.
Yeah, they're going to try and burn that flash at the least, catching him out with the slow. Stefan jumps forward, puts out the sapling, and that's going to be enough. Heads up play there by Vladdy, just to run towards his jungler and not his tower, so he holds his flash crucially there.
Good discipline coming from the side of Nord. You could see that Shikari actually passed through the jungle, so if that fight extended, he could have pathed towards the mid lane as well, because the state of his wave, he had time. Yeah, really good, not over chasing by Nord, respecting the Shikari on a reset, right? And now it's going to transition into top camps, right? They stole away the Wraiths, and it's just looking a little bit doomed, right, for the side of Indecision. Yes, you forced out bot flash, but at the cost of the Wraiths, now the Dragon and the Scuttlefront.
Yeah, exactly. You're mentioning it perfectly. As soon as they see Hito starting the recall, they're pinging for the Drake. They want to take it, utilize the window they had, denying Seneca's recall as well. Just buys them that extra time to take this objective for absolutely free. And if you're wondering what can Nord get back, well, Indecision, he can sneak away a Grump, but that's really all they're gonna get in return.
Oh, Dragon there goes over to the side of Nativz, and another thing kind of happening away from the style that we've typically seen from Nord during these playoffs. They've been very active at getting those first dragons, and this time didn't have the pressure, didn't have the power, unable to really get too much for that. Indecision gets a Gromp. That's a very, very thin silver lining.
Yeah, but crucially, everyone's on a reset now, right? Top lane reset, Indecision reset, and Herald spawns in a minute's time. Let's see who contests this Herald, because that is a decent spike for topside right now for the side of Nord. Maybe they can contest this Rift Herald if potentially Seneca roams up, right? That is a very potent level 6 for the side of Nord. Honestly, the same can be said for Nativz. They have so much AoE, I just want to see a brawl go down.
Yeah, I mean, there's an area where Shikari could just try and force a trade with Kakos because he's got his TP and Kakos doesn't.
Yeah.
So if he can force him out, then Herald is basically guaranteed because he can just TP back towards the top side and look to pressure it up on that front. As long as he doesn't have to burn that ultimate, he can save that for a potential Herald counterplay.
I do want to highlight, though, there's still a lot of cooldowns on Denvoxney here, so even if he decides to rotate, he would be an easy target for a potential Herald, or maybe Nord just look to make another play bot lane. Indecision just ticked over to level 6, cleared out the bot lane camps, Oman being opened up as well on the map, so there is still a window where Nord could do something, but they would leave open the counterplay, as you said, of the Herald.
Yeah, if Oman moved down there, they'd have a choice to make, right? They'd have to cover or miss out on topside camps, but it does look like that play's not going to happen, and you can see Seneca is actually moving up towards Rift Herald now. Oman does have the priority in the mid lane, but like you said, Hitbrain, that matchup just looked pretty grim. I'm not going to lie.
It's rough.
Top lane, yeah, top lane crucially, though. Catch cost is pushed in, I believe. It's hard to tell just with the icons. Again, let's see which top laner moves down first. Shikari does have vision in the river, so Catch cost might be a little bit afraid, but it looks like Catch cost does have the pushing wave.
Yeah, but also it's Rumble. He'll just press Q.
Yeah.
His wave will be gone, and then suddenly he doesn't have the pushing wave anymore.
Yeah.
Shikari definitely happy with the fact he got counterpicked with a Jax. It was interesting that Nord did save their counterpick for this Jax pick. You know, I'm not going to completely write it off, because if I'm completely fair to Kakos right now, he's actually equal in farm.
Doing well.
He's got the boots, he's got the sheen, like, this should be way more miserable than it is. So he's actually managing this incredibly well, especially when, you know, he did take some earlier fairly rough trades into Shikari. And Shikari's not the kind of player who would take those trades and then be too scared to follow it up. Like, he's the player who will punish you for those plays. So,
yeah,
honestly, props to Kakos for playing this particular lane as well as he has.
Everyone's moving up to Rift Herald now. Just take a look. Before this Rift Herald fight starts, look at the vision on near the Wraiths as well. That ward is going to stay there until second Drake spawns too, as a potential TP ward for the side of Catch cost when his TP's up too. So Nord have done something really great in that they've set up vision for the next objective as well for the teleport, as well as secure this rift. I thought that if they went and invaded and tried to cross map with Vision down bot side, that Nativz would actually stop this rift tower, but they were too terrified to even do that.
The teams really don't seem to be fancying a scrap this game so far, just playing very defensive, and a very bad trade there for Karthus, who goes back into the wave. Then Chikari, instead of trying to contest the Herald, decided to freeze and deny just a couple minions, able to build him back up a small CS lead, but 10 minutes in, still no first, but the teams look like they're just playing the map, giving the respect they need whenever they feel like it, and not overestimating their abilities at this point of the game.
To be fair, right, like, for Jax, your one item spike is the biggest. Everyone knows it's Divine Sunderer. And for LeBlanc, your one item spike is the biggest point in your kit as well. You have Static Shiv, and you play the side lanes with these items. So maybe, you know, Nord, they're just deciding not to contest because they're playing for these spikes, which would be, you know, it would reflect the discipline really well that we've seen. Does look like neither team's actually going to starve Dragon either. So, what am I talking about? It's in a minute's time. They are going to get secure Vision. Old man moment. My bad, my bad. Looks like Stefan's just going to clear up the top side with his respawning counts, but look at these plates at Invox now. That is a lot of gold. He'll probably be able to get a reset as well, spend some gold, and be strong for this dragon spawning.
He's got the Kraken Slayer. He's basically fresh off a reset, so he's quite happy. Hiddo also matching him on the Kraken Slayer, though, so even though those plates did go down, it's actually somewhat made up for by the fact that it was a cold start for Hiddo, so he's kind of cashed in on that cold. Basically 2 plates worth of gold off the back of that one as Decision's thinking about coming in onto Hiddo here, but Ward obviously going to block him out from actually being able to make a play. And with the dragon spawning up in 20 seconds, Nord want to try and get some pressure here, but the vision control very much in the favor of Nativz. So I'll have to see if Nativz are going to feel comfortable to step up. Ults available on the Indecision, while Demvoxny has both those summoner spells back.
Yeah, just make sure when you're looking at the second dragon, the most important thing is to look at teleports. Both teleports are up for the top laners because now they can teleport away. The thing is, though, Jax is much better at taking the plates to punish if the Rumble decides to teleport, and so we might not actually see that happen. But Chikari does have the prio. Let's see who contests.
Stefan got first item as well. Could look to poke them out, but they look like they're just kind of all in.
Yep, they're going to put up the Twisted Advance there. Not going to actually block anything out yet. They do throw the ultimate out onto Demvoxny. Can't quite hit it. And actually, that's some pretty low health bars. In comes Catchcost on that flank. He's going to eat the whole team. He's going to go down, but they trade it out 1-for-1. Nord secure themselves the dragon as well as they desperately try and limp away from the follow-up damage. Hiddo going very low. Does still have that flash. He's going to burn it. In comes Twist. Jump away to safety. Seneca gets stunned. They put down the gravity field, but Nord are out of there.
Yeah, Catchcost, you're not playing Ornn, buddy. You're not that tanky. That was really brutal as Nativz come out on the win, and they just have to get a consolation prize of a mid lane wave.
I mean, that was a very close fight there in the end. 1-for-1, the Drake over to Nord, and they do manage to pick up a couple plates as well. The flank from Kashkas, I kind of like the idea to, you know, separate up the fight, but as you said, he's not playing on. He's not able to survive for long, and in the end, all Nord were able to get in the meantime was Stefan, who went in pretty early. I'm surprised they didn't try and just poke them out beforehand, but Stefan just simply too late with the reset, focusing on that first item instead, the Demonic Embrace, which did end up getting purchased, but yeah, he's in an awkward situation, gets hit by the Q, concussive blow stacks up, and at that point he's pretty much just dead, and Kashkas just buys time for his team to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being a 1-for-1, so it's not the end of the world, right? But this did look a little bit scary with the Jinx resets from Demvoxny. Catchcost just got CC'd, right? The gravity field just meant he couldn't kite back after using all his cooldowns and trying to tank to create space. So he just ended up kept getting pulled in. Let's see if in the future he manages to teamfight a little bit better around his cooldowns, but still. Looking at the bigger picture now, it's reset back to a more neutral state. Catchcost is still decently accelerated, far better than I expected him to, right? I expected him to be down 20-30 CS because that's how brutal the matchup usually is. Everyone coming out of base now. No, completed Static Shiv. Is that completed Static Shiv? I can't quite tell. There we go. Yeah, I had something overlay, so I couldn't see. The Static Shiv has come out, so one item spike here for the LeBlanc. Let's see what Omen can do with it.
Should now be in a much more comfortable position in this lane. Once you got that Static Shiv, it does mean that you can at least keep the Victor at arm's length, because that's the major problem is you have to jump into the wave to clear the wave as LeBlanc on AP LeBlanc. And then Victor just pokes you and slowly whittles down your health bar to the point where you have to reset or stay and potentially get taken out. So he can be a lot more kind of impersonal with the lane state now with that Static Shiv. And eventually, it will do him favors when he goes into the side lanes. But now, though, Seneca's in a little bit of trouble. Gets himself caught out. They're going to try and block out the Twisted Advance. But Hiddo does find himself in danger. Instantly throws out the cleanse. But down goes Seneca. Then Voxney's going to cash in on that kill.
Now, Seneca, without this Rakan, a lot less slippery than he typically would be, considering he loves that Rakan. Now he's on that Brom, right? He's not getting in range to W away, and see if Nord can look for a counterplay, but it doesn't look like it. Denvoxney without any mana, it's probably just going to reset. And this is exactly what we said in draft, right? Denvoxney has to be accelerated, and all this AoE is securing kills from him. He's not behind at all, and they can definitely keep looking for these mid-game team fights. As I imagine Nord might struggle to pull this off. Let's see Indecision.
Oh, yeah, they're going to jump in. They've got the chains on. Sigil and Malice not actually going to get propped there.
Damage.
Go in for the second chains. Not going to prop the Sigil because they have to break it. Vladdy able to survive as Omen almost burns out to the Leandries at the end.
Yeah, that's the static surf build coming through. You're just lacking the damage early on. Your combos just doesn't quite burst that much anymore. And Vladdy survives that. Nice play by Indecision, I will say, spotting the opportunity to try and get something back. But Vladdy didn't even have to use the flash, able to get back with the TP and catch the wave. He loses absolutely nothing on this.
Yeah. Take a look at the lane assignments. Now we're getting the 1-3-1 we talked about. It's 16 minutes, right? Mid-game is officially started, 14 minutes time. Omen's going to catch that bot wave, and whereas Jack's catch cost is going to go topside. And now hopefully we can play for picks in side lane. With LeBlanc, you can push and move to mid lane and farm 10 CS a minute, or you can play for picks with that chain. So they also have set up in the top side with that melee synergy with the Sejuani. Let's see if they can play for anything. It looks like they have pressure prio in the mid lane, and they're going to look for vision though. Maybe they can set something up for Rift Herald.
And Nord starting to activate that 1-3-1, sending Omen down towards the bot lane. And yeah, Herald is in the eye, still 58 seconds on the next Drake, second Drake for either team. Would they get it? So they could make the move now, or they could try and see if it could just be a 1-for-1. Looks like Indecision has started it up, and Omen rotating up as well.
Good damage.
Yeah, nice little bit of damage, but Denvoxney just free autoing him, so it gets somewhat answered back. Has got the fleet footwork, so we'll be able to heal up off the back of that one. And this whole time, Nord have just been quite happy to take this Herald for themselves, picking that one up uncontested. Question is where are they going to use it? Are they going to try and crack mid open, or are they going to try and unlock Kakos on this top side? As he's getting himself a lovely little trade-off with Shikari. That final bonk really hurt.
From Spike.
Yeah,
really coming through.
Indecision was kind of yeah, the Divine Spike's pretty crazy, right? I think Indecision was kind of looking for that chunk to potentially dive with that Rift Herald. Kind of maybe sniffing out the fact that that bush was a recall spot, but it doesn't look like it. Maybe they pop the Rift Herald here just to draw pressure and cross map away from that dragon that's spawning, but it looks like Nativz are sniffing out. They're heading topside too.
Well, let's see. Twists and Stefan going to try and defend. Teleport coming in. They're going to throw down the Glacial Fissure, trying to interrupt the Herald charge as it does crack onto the tower. But the rocket comes in from downtown as Denvoxney secures the kill. The second one is going to get picked up by Shikari. And they do get that tower, but it comes at a heavy cost as Hiddo tries to fire back onto Denvoxney, but Denvoxney, he's having none of it. He's going to just get a whole bunch of damage off onto Hiddo, actually.
That's absolutely fantastic. You mentioned it earlier, Aragon. How can Nativz continue to push Denvoxney ahead? How can they accelerate him into the game? And those kind of moments are exactly what they needed. They're getting the minions for him and the XP solo in the mid lane while picking up kills across the map. Jungler dead for Nord. That opens up the opportunity for the second Drake as well. Omen will try and disrupt this, but there's simply nothing he could do. Stefan is there with the smite. It's secured, and that's second Drake for Nativz.
Yeah, Pink's coming down topside for catch cost. He wants to just farm top as a cross map. Hiddo getting his ult force. That's a long cooldown, right?
Massive flash as well.
Yeah, he's gonna be punishable for a very long time, and you know he's not gonna be able to fight. But this Rumble, it's such a problem because it denies you the ability to pick a tank in topside because you just lose, right? Ornn, I'm not sure if it was banned. I think you just take the Ellinger Ornn here, but it's a different identity we've seen from Nord, and I can't say I'm a big fan of it. I much preferred when Catchcost was on these like kind of neutralizer picks, and they played front to back, but it looks like Nativz has the draft that they want, right? I think this draft is so terrifying because now that you've secured second Drake, you're on a timer. You have to contest third Drake. You can't play 1-3-1 for that much longer because you have to end up 5v5 with this third dragon. You cannot give over soul point. Otherwise, you really risk giving over a soul like in the end because it's just one more dragon to secure. So going forward, how does Nord navigate these next 4 minutes? Do they contest the next dragon or do they give it up and risk giving over soul and soul point?
It's going to be a rough ask here. The problem is they've got three and a bit minutes until the next dragon spawns up, and the question is what are they going to be able to do with those 3 minutes? They've taken top lane tower. Ideally, they want to get all of the outer towers in the next 3 minutes, so then they can really push Nativz deeper back and onto the back and closer to their base, so then they can get control. Then they can have that split push for it. But if a dragon number 3 does go down, the base could be forfeit. Omen is slowly but surely starting to ramp up. Now he's got that Night Harvester. The damage is there. The static shift is there. And these waves do not last long versus Omen on the LeBlanc right now. Teleport's up and available for him. Kakos has teleport as well. So right now, as I do agree that the split push is going to have to get dealt with. But I think at the moment, Nord did definitely need to lean into that identity and try and just unlock as much gold as they possibly can for their team. Because Voxney is heavily accelerated with those 2 kills and 2 assists.
Nativz, though, very happy that Baron is on the map. That gives them an opportunity to try and force 5v5s if push comes to shove. Because they have to deal with this 1-3-1. The burden of execution is on Nord because they don't want to be in the 5v5s. They have to execute the split push comp. And so far they've been able to get a couple turns with it around these objectives, the 5v5s. That's why not where they thrive, so I'm not sure why they're grouping up here.
Yeah. It does look like they're just a 4-man is stacking. They're playing around vision and securing vision for the Baron. I wonder if they're just trying to make a pick desperately before this 3rd dragon spawns. Omen should be fine. LeBlanc is an extremely kitey champion. Typically, you know, mid laners often dub her as like the catch me as you can champ in the side lane. You chase her, but it doesn't matter, right? You never catch her with that W. I'm sure you know that, Hipbrain. But look at bot lane, right? That buys so much space for Catchcross to actually secure this tower, and maybe that snowballs him towards this hull breaker that he's building. And yeah, they're really leaning into the split push identity, Jake, just like you said. And I imagine they're actually probably going to concede this next dragon because it doesn't make sense to contest it after you complete the hull breaker. Yeah, it's going to be 3rd dragon for Nativz, I imagine.
I mean, they've ticked off what I wanted to see them do. I wanted to see all of the altars down by the time the next dragon comes up, because it gives you space. It gives you the opportunity to kind of, you know, play for either we'll take all of the side lanes if you go for dragon, or they can get the pressure on the map around the area. It is very much is this phase going to become a hull breaker here for Kakos?
Yeah.
I think so, but there is a world where it turns into, oh god, what does Phage build into?
Sterox.
Again, Sterox.
But it's a hull breaker.
No, it's a hull breaker. It's a hull breaker, yeah.
1 minute 30 on Dragon. Both teams posturing around Baron just in case either one decides to Baron instead of Dragon on this kind of cross map. I don't think Nord have the DPS to burst it down, so I'm not sure why Nativz are so terrified. They get all blue trinkets, still trying to hold vision. Now, I imagine both teams are going to recall or try and contest mid prio and then go down into bot side. The thing is, Nativz don't even need mid prio, right? Like, it doesn't matter if they're late on the objective, although they might look for an engage here. Oh, the Seneca had the flash.
Big cooldown with the Drake coming up in just 1 minute Baron, obviously on the map as well. So, forcing these cooldowns could prove pivotal for the next team fight, because it feels like we're at the cusp of this game being decided. Will Nord succeed with this 1-3-1 style, or will Nativz find that big team fight that gives them the lead? Omen is caught.
Yeah, they just threw everything. Omen timed his W so poorly. Has to flash to safety. Stefan didn't burn a single thing for that. Like, he just pressed W.
Yeah, this is the thing. It highlights point and click as a LeBlanc's weakness, right? Nautilus, Maokai, these champions LeBlanc just cannot play against because of the W point and click following her. You see bot lane, look at that split push. Catchcross is one-shotting with this hull breaker.
Vladdy doesn't want that heat. He does not want that heat. Yeah, that's hull breaker under a Jax in a side lane. So a flash on Omen, 600 gold for Kakos, and we said he was handling that top lane well. He's now at the point where that top lane kind of doesn't matter to him anymore. And it's really just on Hiddo and Omen just to kind of play wherever he isn't and just wave clear that. Static shift completely enables that play for Omen, and Hiddo is Xayah. Xayah is such a good wave clear ADC.
They're actually going to contest, right? This is a big switch up because they just completed the hull breaker, but it looks like because of that tier 2, they're going to engage.
Oh, Voxney has to flash immediately. They've thrown the damage down. They've got everything they need. As in comes Shikari, throwing down the ultimate, burning away. They trade out 2 for 1. Nord at the reset. Voxney chasing in. Rocket comes in from downtown as Omen's trying to find the assassination off of the Vladdy. He's able to get it. A double kill picked up for Shikari. There's 2 left on either side, but the health bars are blinking for Nord. They can't contest any further, but they do have the smite on indecision. If he wants to contest, he can do it. Omen, he has teleport. He can come in. Nativz, they can't do this. They have to concede. They have to give up the dragon. They will die to Omen on the LeBlanc, and somehow Nord found their breathing room, found their space, and they got dragon number 4.
My god, it was so dangerous, wasn't it? Both teams have so much AoE. You saw the Catchcross re-engage with that counter-strike to turn around after Stefan and Twist land these huge 4-man ultimates to CC the enemy team. And in the meantime, Voxney is just free-hitting, right? In the end, I don't know how it happened, but Nord managed to secure Dragon, and it was just such a bloody 3 for 3. And that's really good for Nord, right? Looking at the big picture, that buys them more time to play this 1-3-1 as Nativz. Maybe they don't even want to contest that. They don't even want to allow for that 1-3-1 to happen, as they might just force the Baron here.
Kakos does have teleport though, so he can come and join if he needs to. I think he's already going to start to walk up just in case. All of the ultimates are back, but Hiddo does not have his Featherstorm, so it's so hard for him to try and contest Baron. Burning down to half HP. Indecision may just have to go for a steal angle here. Omen's going to jump forward, but he finds himself rooted. Instantly jumping on into Decision. And there's the Baron caught out. Hiddo's just cooking in the background. They're looking for the knockup. Then Voxney goes down to Omen. He's able to find the space, but now he's getting jumped onto. Omen's able to just about limp away from this one. And somehow Nord find another kill. Twist is cooked. In jumps Indecision. Vladdy's on the wrong side of the map, away from his team, separated, isolated, and now he is going to be sacrificed for the greater good. But Vladdy desperately just trying to find some space, trying to jump away. Every little bit of move speed is going to be great for him here, but he's locked by the permafrost. He's pinned. He's finished. He's going to be bonked. Kakos finishes him up, and only 2 walk away with Baron.
Oh, what a fight, man. Omen gets the exactly right angle. He comes in, he assassinates then Voxne without a flash and without a cleanse from the previous 5v5. Instantly goes down, and that's much of the damage gone from the side of Nativz. Yes, they do secure the Baron. Now, what can they do with it is the question, because Nord, they're happy with what they got to take there. They got a couple turrets as well, and they are still in the goal league, even with Nativz picking up the Baron.
Even still, look at the KDAs for the side of Nativz. They are all so strong. The goal is on the right members. Rumble is 3-0 still. Shikari can still play the game. I think Hiddo's out here. He should be out at the very least. Does have cleanse. Like, he's completely fine, right? Like, but I will say, this is so good from Nativz. The amount of synergy that I've seen from the landing the CC plus layering on top the Jinx Rocket as well as the Equalizer. In that last fight, Hiddo couldn't play. Right? Did you see the way that the Maokai ult came out of the pit, and then an Equalizer was dropped on Hiddo when he got hit by the Maokai, and then a Jinx Rocket to the point where Hiddo was 200 HP? Wow, let's see what this Baron can do. The Omon's wave clear is really gutted now, right? Because the magic resistance the Binions get, so 1-3-1 is actually probably going to be a little difficult to do. However, that Baron is soon expiring, I imagine. It has been a little bit of time.
Should have a few more waves left on it, but there's only 2 members with it is the real problem for them. And I mean, I highlighted it at the beginning, but mid lane was really the decisive factor. The only reason Nord were able to walk away from that Baron play so effectively was because Omen found that angle, one-shot Voxney, and this is the second fight where he's instantly jumped onto Voxney, and Voxney's flashless, so even again, if another opportunity presents itself, he could just look to take that. As Kakos standing in front of Vladdy is not going to finish the Gromp up because Shikari's also in the area.
I give Nativz though a couple more minutes and they'll hit some massive spikes here for Shikari and Vladdy in particular. Getting close to those 3-item spikes. There are 2.5 right now. Voxne has already got the third as Omen. We should try and assassinate him once more, but Voxne is safe for now. Should have the flash up for the Drake spawning in 1.5 minutes. That is sole point for either team. But North has had a lot of success in this 1-3-1, and I will say that 5v5s have been so impressive considering they should not be winning these team fights. Omen with the flanks, Kashkas with the re-engages, keeping these 5v5s to be even fights when they really on the paper shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, in this downtime, sorry, because I realize we don't have much downtime. I imagine it's going to be explosive. I reached out to Nicholas Perez, the coach for Nord, and I genuinely asked him, how did you make Nord team fight so well? And he said, I'm really glad you acknowledged that, because we put blood, sweat, and tears into improving our team fighting, right? Before every single scrim, we would talk about all the important concepts like skirmish quality, not stacking CC, calling targets, win conditions, and stuff like this. So, you know, shout out the coaching staff. They brought 2 rookies in and made them team fight so damn well.
This does look like a team who are very experienced at team fighting.
Very gelled, yeah.
They are super gelled. Nativz are the same though. I mean, we've highlighted it. The layering of like the Jinx Rocket onto the Maokai engage as well. These are 2 teams who are super capable at team fighting, going toe to toe, and it makes for some really explosive team fights. I have to give it though over to Nord because they find their opening. Shikari is 1 auto attack away. There it is. Shutdown for Hiddo.
He's gone for 50 seconds. I mean, the Drake is up in 10 seconds. But maybe Nordos don't even want that. They want to try and push for breaking open the base potentially. I mean, that was 3 members of Nativz down towards the bot side. Shikari way too far ahead in decision. Read the moment beautifully and took his chance to find a crucial kill yet again. I still believe he's dead in 30 seconds and the Drake is practically up. This could be huge.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant play. Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant play because, like, on the flip side, you saw Nativz trying to cross map. Right? Nativz couldn't cross map because you're trying to cross map onto a LeBlanc. And a LeBlanc is just Wing everywhere, taking it all the way back. And you can't catch her. So there was no play for Nativz to have. On the bot side, you saw Denvoxne, and even with that Maokai W, it just wasn't enough. And like you said, Dragon spawning now, and they're a man down.
I really quickly want to go back to the team fighting, because we talked about it, but can we also acknowledge how insane it is that Nord are winning team fights with a hull breaker? They've got a hull breaker user, and you're basically item down at that point, and they're able to get this. This is going to be Dragon number 3 over to Nord, meaning they can technically give up the next one if they want to, if they need to, should I say. The whole time, Kakos just stayed in the bot side. Like, I think the thing that's really impressed me about Kakos on this Hull Breaker Jax is he's not doing the typical Hull Breaker play of going, I just don't play with my team. I've got Hull Breaker, so I only play side lane. He recognizes that he still needs to be there for those fights and goes, yeah, Hull Breaker's great for you in the side lane, and it's not as effective in the team fights, but me being there is better than me not being there. And I think that's a major thing, which I think a lot of Hull Breaker top laners don't do. They just kind of tunnel vision onto side laning.
Big ball of HP and AD. Still really good stats despite not having the passive. But yeah, no, recognition from Catchcost to contest this third Dragon Soul Point. I was highlighting how important it is, right, to contest third Dragon Soul Point. It's like the moment in time where you have to group, and it's why split pushing kind of died in the meta, right? You don't see Trindamirs ending the game solo anymore. You don't see Yorick's at all, right? These champions are just kind of dead, as you see a stopwatch picked up for Catchcost in this side lane. He's either going to commit really hard to being as strong as possible, get a GA, and like end the game with this next soul fight in 3 minutes time. Let's see if he can reach that spike by then, or he'll just save the stopwatch for that fight as well, as he goes bot lane, and I don't think Shikari can hold him. They might be able to play for Baron here.
Yeah, Shikari also doesn't have flash, so if Kakos feels like he wants to test the waters, he can take that trade. He has a little bit of magic resist in there, thanks to that Hull Breaker and his Merc Treads. Is Stefan going to use the saplings to scout out Indecision in the bush?
3 items. That's really all I want to see for Shikari here. He's the one still missing it. Rabadon's Death Cap not too far away. Vladi just got his as well, so a huge damage bite from him. Before it had to be mainly on Denvoxne for the damage. Now Vladi can take his share of the burden as well. Baron is now up on the map. A crucial objective. It feels like if Nativz find one massive blowout team fight, they can still get back into this game. But so far, Nord are stretching Nativz resources thin, and it's working to perfection.
Yeah, Nativz are on a timer, right? They have to either commit to the Baron and rush it down, but they're scared of getting poked down or like counter-engaged on by Nord because no one can hold down bot side. Look at Catchcost. I don't think Shikari can actually do anything in his face, although maybe I'm underestimating Rumble again. We've seen him cook Catchcost before as Umon is shadowing. Yeah, but look at this. It started up. They felt the pressure, and now they're starting it.
Yeah, they are going to look for that opportunity. Traps have been laid. They need to wait for those out. Stefan still has that ultimate. Just an advance could be major.
Oh,
Seneca is going to find himself obliterated, but he's able to hold on for a little bit longer. Twist goes down. Baron secured by Denvoxne. In comes Kakos, flashing forward, trying to chase onto Denvoxne. There's going to be the kill on the Vladi. In jumps Omen, tidying up the fight just like that. Nord take everybody out. Only Shikari remains, and they've done it again. They use the Hull Breaker to team fight, and they win.
And Seneca, he doesn't fall. Crucially, Seneca doesn't fall, giving Denvoxne that Jinx reset. It looks like they're even TPing in him. Maybe they go for double inhib or go for the end. We'll have to see. But because Seneca does not fall, because of that Radiant Virtue healing and that Locket, Denvoxne cannot auto-attack. He cannot run over in the team fight.
I cannot believe it, man. That is so... Their team fighting is just so impressive. Denvoxne trapped in the pit, able to secure the Baron, but it's only left on Shikari. They could look to do something here, potentially 10 seconds on both Vladi and Denvoxne. But look at the damage from Nord. Good trade back though, massive shutdown on towards Shikari. They've stopped the approach from Nord. Yeah. These team fights, that's what Nativz are supposed to win, but they are not winning them. The execution's so good. Good burn down here on Hiddo, Rocket. Goes wide as well. And I do believe they're out, but I cannot believe how Nord keep winning these fights. This time it's Kashkos. I want to highlight with the TP in, following Denvoxne the whole fight without really taking any damage from it, but getting it down to, I think, 20% HP.
Yeah, in these team fights, Jinx resets are so important, and you could see if they do not find that pick initially, despite Seneca actually face tanking and quite not the best like walk up, you know, like he wasn't invincible, he didn't have the unbreakable on, but look at that inhib top side. Those super minions are going to be flooding in soon enough as Dragon spawns in 40 seconds.
Yeah, and major things to note is that stopwatch got picked up by Hiddo. He doesn't have flash, but he does have cleanse. On the other side, Omen level 18, This is the greediest game I've seen from Nord. They've got Hullbreaker and Medjai Soul Stealer as their 2 items in this game. So it actually just looks like Omen. He's looking a backdoor. He might actually just walk the minions in.
Oh, Nativz on a timer hit. They might feel the pressure. They might have to send someone to recall. Who can answer Omen, though? It might have to be... If Vladdy has to say, so does Shikari. They're just committing.
They've still got Baron on Shikari for a little bit longer, so they need to keep him here to keep the Baron wave up. And 2 towers down mid, but the question is now they need to get away and get those bases off. And I think Nord are just going to sacrifice themselves. They're going to try and jump in, but it's a Baron recall, though, so he's going to get the reset off. The question is what has Omen got in the base in that time? He's got Lich Bane, he's got Static, so he takes the tower, jumps onto Shikari. He lands the change. The stopwatch comes out immediately, jumping back in. Shikari getting chunked, but there's another big wave coming in, and Shikari needs to reset. Dragon's getting started by Nativz. Nord are going to try and pressure this one up, but they can give it. They don't have to fight. They just have to stop the bases. Another tower goes down. It's an open Nexus. In comes Catchcross. Now they need to fly around. Twist jumps onto that backline. There's the Featherstorm away for a bit of space, but he's being cooked. Double kill over to Hiddo, as now they chase on for the kill. Maybe Hiddo loses his life, though. The tree's going to chase him down. Hiddo, he's going to get chased by a sapling. No, he's not. Stefan's going to go for the teleport, but he's interrupted.
Seneca should chase.
The base is a complete mess right now. And Kakos, it's an open Nexus. This is just Dunzo. They're going to chase Omen, but they've got to deal with Kakos. He's ward-hopping forwards. And game number 1 is going to Nord. They're going up in the series.
And Seneca, look at him, the hidden MVP of that last fight. He's just chasing Stefan around the map. You can see down bottom, he flashed over.